How's it going, friends and family of the internet? Welcome to the Real AF TV podcast show about fishing and random takes from the land of 10,000 lakes. I'm one of your hosts, Josh LaBaw.
And I'm the other host, Tim Wagner.
All right, Tim. Well, I'm just going to say it. If you're watching it on YouTube, you're seeing it already. We got a little bit of a different setup. We are doing a little bit of a different style podcast, actually.
Yep. Josh's setup is looking good. I got this horseshit old wood paneling behind me.
Yeah, but it's just because that it just so happens to be like where I can hide out on a afternoon as we record this. So
right.
I don't think too highly of it, but it is a camera test actually.
I like it.
Okay. So I'll do a little bit of housekeeping here quick. But I am just going to start it off with, this is going to be a different kind of podcast. We are only going to do a fishing topic, but we're going to do 5 fishing topics, 5 quick hit fishing topics. And that's it. No random take this week. There was just a lot going on. I don't want to get into it because I don't want to bore everybody. So we'll just get into the housekeeping. Let's go with the shore fishing from the short again. Still haven't figured all that out yet, but I have it down to the point where I just need to do basically what we're doing here. Get a few and get some shots, and then it's going to be done. Like, that's how close it is. It's super close. So I'm excited to get our first short out there. Just like to keep bringing it up in the podcast and keep watching us, following us on YouTube and all that other stuff. You know, Instagram, wherever these shorts go.
Right.
I realize the contact is down. So realaf.tv/contact is down right now. That's going to take me some time to figure out. I don't really know what's going on there. I couldn't figure it out. If you're not experiencing that, please just leave it in the comments of the YouTube video, because I am troubleshooting it, but it seems maybe my IP address is keeping me from troubleshooting it. I'm not sure exactly what's going on, but I'm looking for community feedback on that if you are seeing that. And pretty much going to just leave it there so that way we can jump right into the shit, into 5 fun fishing topics. Tim, we contributed to this. Like, we kind of just collaborated on this, and so let's kick it off with sight fishing a swordfish you put in there. Okay. Let's hear the story.
So here's the deal. There was a gentleman, gosh darn it, I had his name. No, I'm not finding it. Doesn't matter. His last name is Paulson. Okay. So they're just referring to him as Paulson in the story. But a lot of people are calling it BS. Like, he puts up a picture of him holding a sword. He's got the swordfish by the tail, and it's like kind of like laying in the rocks, because it's a 5-foot long, 102-pound swordfish that he caught from shore with a fly fishing rod.
What?
Yeah. So I know, and that's what everybody it's saying. Like, as soon as the photos hit social media, everybody started calling it bull, and that this shows him standing on the rocks with the fly rod and everything, and everybody's like, nope, didn't happen. And it definitely did. He's a guide, and he said that in his 40 years of fishing, this is the craziest thing that's ever happened to him.
No way, dude.
So. Yeah. So it's super exciting to me to be like, oh, this is a possibility. I had no idea you could even catch any billfish from shore.
Right.
And he makes it seem like that's a little bit more common, but a swordfish is like insane. So even though, it's possible, it's still the craziest thing this man has ever had to happen in his 40 years of professional guide fishing. Right. So odds are still pretty shitty on getting that to happen for you, but a possibility nonetheless.
Right. The fact that it's possible just makes you go like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah, right. So I found this on a sport fishing website. And it says that he fishes this edge of the reef. So he wades in the water. I don't know how deep. I don't know. Like, I don't know how far he's able to go out.
But you think an average man is 6 foot tall in America, like, how high could he really go? Just got to do the math, right?
Well, the thing is, sometimes like the water doesn't drop off until you get
so you mean far out,
so
as in distance from, not the depth, but you mean how far from actual sand is he?
Yeah. So as far as the depth, I'm sure he's out only like waist deep or whatever, because he's also fly fishing. So he's got to be able to move the rod
That's
and
right,
stuff.
right.
So you can't go in too far, otherwise it's just a nightmare. And I think they did say like knee deep water, but I'm guessing that he probably like backed up as he was fighting the fish too,
Mhm.
trying to get it into shallow water, so it was a little bit more manageable to land the fish.
Mhm.
But it says that he's about 150 yards off the reef crust,
Nope.
and
Okay.
then the water drops. This is crazy because I want to fish this spot. I don't even care if I catch a billfish. Like, I do. That'd be dope. But if we could get to this spot, because I didn't know that this happened this close to shore, but 150 yards off the reef crust, the water drops to 3,000 feet.
What the
So he's
fuck?
fishing like, yeah. So where
Oh
he's
my
at
god.
is where these, because I didn't know you could catch these billfish in any place other than where the water gets deep. I thought you had to be in a giant
Right.
boat. And it turns out that like they're right where all the giant boats would run. It's just they have some of these coming up and fishing in like into the shallows, just like any other sport fish would do.
Yeah.
They're just like
Sure.
looking for a meal, and they're coming up in there. And he said that he saw a huge fish making a commotion. Well, I should say before that too. He said 2 days earlier he spotted a school of marlin from shore.
Holy shit.
Which even that fact, I'm like, what the fuck? You just this? I didn't even know
I
they
was
ran
gonna
in
say, I didn't know
schools,
that
dude.
marlin ran in school. Any of these fish like that ran in
I
schools.
thought, I mean, maybe like a school, but they're like they're so fast that they're just like like a pack of wolves. Like where some of them are in the same vicinity sometimes, but they're not necessarily right next to each
Right.
other. I don't
Yeah, that's
know.
what I thought. Is like the almost the lone wolf mentality of like they're never
Yeah.
traveling together, but if like one makes a kill, so to say, others will
Yeah.
come very quickly. Maybe that's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but now
Yeah,
I
dude.
want to do more research on
I
marlins.
don't know. Yeah, because like you said, the like muskies and stuff too. Muskies will be in the same area as the other
Right.
muskies, but I don't think they work together. They don't like run in a school. I
Right.
always assume like them being like a big. I suppose in the ocean they're not necessarily an apex predator, but
Yeah.
they kind of are still. Like
Mhm.
there's
Mhm.
definitely fish bigger than them, but there's a
But still,
ton
like,
of
tell
fish
me what
smaller
I
than
mean,
them. So
without knowing the research or having done any research, right? Like, what
yeah.
fucks with a marlin? What tries to kill a swordfish?
A shark and a killer whale.
Right.
Those are my two. Those are my two go-tos.
Giant squid. Like,
Yeah,
maybe
giant
that's it.
squid.
I
Yeah,
have no
exactly.
fucking clue what else could take it on.
Yeah, yeah. Google mythical ocean battles, and that's
Kraken.
krakens, just stuff like that. Those are what finds a marlin, because those fish are huge. I don't think like there's other fish that get that big, but they don't eat each other. Tunas and marlins are
Right.
not messing with each
Right.
other. Anyways, so he says that when he saw a huge fish making a big commotion in the distance, so he moved in to investigate, and he saw a bill come out of the water. And initially he thought it was a sailfish, which even still, I'm just like, so you're just like, oh, it's just a sailfish? Like from shore that you might be able to fly fish? Like that's crazy. But then he said that on the fourth cast, he made 3-0. Fourth cast, it zeroed in and attacked it, and then it ran 200 yards.
Yeah.
And he said if it escaped to the deep, he would have never stopped it.
Oh,
So basically, like
really?
if it would have got past that edge and started going
Right.
down, he would have been toast. Like
It would have
that's
just
it. I don't get this.
spun him out, like, or
It,
whatever that's called.
it would have won. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's just basically as soon as it drops down, like your line's going into the reef and it's cutting it.
Oh,
Is what I was
right.
picturing. Like I don't care what kind of line you
Right.
have. Everybody's like coral's super
Right.
sharp,
Yep.
and it's out there dicing up surfers. So I'm sure your line's not going to handle it. But then it said that it turned towards him and they were able to like land it. He wasn't able to do it by himself, so he called a friend over. And then it says tackling a green swordfish in knee-deep water on a sharp coral reef is dangerous. So he called in his friend to help subdue the trophy. And he said, by now my adrenaline is pumping and I almost fainted. And because he noticed like what kind of fish he
Right.
has. And then he got says catching a swordfish with a fly rod is a lifetime achievement for any angler. Landing the fish from shore requires so many things to go right. No gambler would take those odds. So 102 pound, 5 foot long, and it's real.
That's
He's got
crazy,
pictures to prove
dude.
it, but still people are just like, Photoshop. No, that didn't happen. It's like, there's not,
That
as we got coming up, some anglers are pieces of shit that do lie.
right.
But
yes, which we will get into right after this for sure. But
but a 40-year guide is not going to make up a story about catching a swordfish from shore, especially when he makes it seem like marlin and sailfish are also on the table. So like,
right.
that's why when he was just kind of like, the swordfish was the catch of a lifetime, but there are more marlin and sailfish out here. I'm just like, new destination. It's like a side quest on a video game. Just like, new destination has been unlocked. Like, all right. Yeah.
Popped up on your map, like, oh shit.
Exactly. Here we go. We're getting out there because I don't care which fish I'm catching. Like any of those fish that live in that 3,000 foot range that are coming up to feed in the shallows, I'm pumped on.
That's so cool. So fucking cool.
And honestly, any of the fish that are even in the reef, like if I go out there and they go, oh, you only caught the reef fish, and I just be like, I caught fish is the main point of what you said. And that's good enough for me. So
right.
Win-win.
So sick, dude. So cool. I'm with you though.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Like this guy's not. I just don't feel like he's making it up. It seems it's so far fetched. It's just like it's so far fetched in the sense of like, why would anybody make this up? Why would anybody think of that? It's just weird. It's weird to think. Yes, not weird to think that it's impossible because it seems impossible. But it's even weirder to think that somebody would just make that shit up.
Why?
Plus,
would
he had
you?
a buddy with
it's
him. Yeah,
not a
like
competition.
he's not his guiding. Like, is not going to just blow up because of this story.
His guide service is not going to benefit this whatsoever because he caught this himself fly fishing from the shore.
Right.
Like, you don't have to pay that guy to bring you out to the shore. I mean, unless you want him to show you how he was using his fly rod to do it. I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, also, I don't think anybody's going to be like, oh, we just specified how rare this catch is. I don't think anybody's out there thinking that this is something he can recreate. He said himself, this is the craziest thing that's ever happened to him.
Good point.
Fishing. Yeah.
So like, why? How does that benefit his guide service if he's just like, this is literally a once in a lifetime thing. This will never happen again. I won't even be able to get people to have this happen to them. Like, you make a good point.
Yeah. On the flip side, it's probably going to damage him because people don't listen.
Right.
They're just going to come out there. He's going to say it's a once in a lifetime thing, thinking that this won't benefit him at all. He just wanted to show it off. And then he's going to have other people just being like, hey, why don't you put me on one of them swordfish from shore? And then they're just like, I can't. I guess we can try, but good luck.
All right. Well, let's get into some people who are just flat out fucking liars and cheats.
Just dirty.
Still a trial going on, but hey, like we've already made our fucking decisions on this, but you got to bring it back to these fucking walleye cheaters. And the reason why I bring this up, because what we're doing is we're doing like a fishing news. We usually do fishing news on the regular podcast right at the beginning, right? And we're kind of doing like a 5-point here. That's kind of our design behind this episode. And of course, these walleye cheaters got to come back in the news again eventually if you're following fishing news. And so here they are.
Yeah.
This one is specifically about Chase Kaminsky, fuckface, who is the one of the pair, right? And he's back in the news. One of the local WFMJ. This came from Field and Stream, but it was WFMJ that kind of like had the story, and then Field and Stream went in a little bit. So, you Tim, make a conclusion here, but so his son, and he gave his 18-year-old son 2 fake $100 bills. They were so fucking fake, dude. It said for motion picture purposes, not legal tender. still tried to use it. Now, is he covering?
It said that on the bill.
The police, like, this was a quote from the Field and Stream article from the police, and the police said they were so obviously fake. And if you've seen Movie Money, it's super realistic because they usually only show the edges and stuff like that. And so, like, it's all about how you shoot it. And so, yes, Movie Money does look very realistic, but like the 16-year-old kid behind the counter at the bowling alley was looking at the 18-year-old kid giving him the money, like, what the fuck are you doing here?
Right.
So now, let me ask this. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, like, the 16-year-old that he's like trying to give the money to still has to take that like brown marker and write across it, just like anybody else does when you're trying to break a large bill, and then hold it up into the light. Right. And then when he holds it up into the light, you can probably see where it says, like, this is not for actual use. And then he just goes, are you fucking with me? Probably gives him an out too. And that kid's so stupid because we know who his dad is that he's just like, no, I didn't put any weights in the fish. And they're just like, what are you talking about? This is a fake $100 bill. Oh, that part. Yeah, no, it's real money, I think, or whatever. I'm not a cheater. Me and my dad, we're on the up and up.
We're on the up and up. So it went through my head. I was like, do you think he's covering for his son? Like, do you think he just feels like he has nothing to lose and he's covering?
How do you mean?
Did the kid actually? Because the story is that the kid said that his dad gave him to him and then he took him to the bowling alley, right?
Oh.
So do you think the kid tried to do it and then just blamed his dad and his dad is taking the heat?
Dude, that'd be pretty big of a piece of shit.
That's what I was thinking too. I'm thinking, no way, dude. Like, it went through my head and I wanted to bring it up, but he fucking gave him that money and said, don't worry, I've gotten away with it before.
Right. Yeah. I think he's just like, nah.
But it proves, like, it just proves that he's teaching.
Everybody knows that the name Kaminsky is good for the money. They know Kaminsky's are. They know we don't make any mistakes. We don't screw up. We are hardworking Americans that always tell the truth. So you get. I don't even think he would have told him any of that stuff. Or maybe he would have. I don't know. They wait until they get caught to say sorry. They don't even say sorry, I don't think. They just put their head down.
Yeah.
Act like it's no big deal.
And just pretend it didn't.
I don't know. No, I very highly doubt that the dad was trying to cover and do something good for his son in a stupid, shitty, like, if he was like, put more heat on me to try to take heat off of his kid,
because
when you're already a piece of shit.
And plus that's going to look bad now to him because now he has this other counterfeit case. Well, he still has to go and do this walleye case, which was, I mean, there's so much evidence, you know, and now that they're going to be able to bring this case into that as evidence and fuck him even harder. Like, it's just, no, he's not covering. I don't think so. He's breeding another cheater. Like, it's in his family, right? Like, he's just like, it's fine to cheat. It's okay.
Yeah. I think they're dumb people with bad morals.
I think so too.
I think that's what it comes down to, is that you've got away with stuff in the past. So you think that you still can.
And that's it.
And
like, it's just that simple.
I mean, he's probably like a sociopath.
Right.
And the sociopaths have these same kind of tendencies where they're just like, everybody else is stupid. I'm smart. This money looks real. I'm going to get away with it. And then they don't, but they still keep going.
Right. It's the lie, like, lean into the lie or whatever, right? Like, they can't stop. They can't stop.
Yeah. It's literally just the over the top, but just be like, who's going to stop me? This idiot at the counter? He's not going to catch it. He's an idiot.
Right.
And then it just like turns out, because half of these people, they think that they're so brilliant and they're not.
Right.
It's all
in
mental.
their head.
Like, I'm smart and it's just like, you're not. Right. You're an idiot trying to use movie money.
Yeah. And so just to feed that more, and why we're saying what we're saying too, is because he's also facing Chase Kaminsky is. He's facing stalking charges against his ex-wife for hacking into her Snapchat, her email, and tailgating her so closely that she thought she was going to get in an accident while she had one of their kids in the car. Jesus. We're not making conclusions here. We have we have almost a complete story, short of knowing this guy. Yeah. Fucked up.
Chase is the dad, or the guy?
So Chase is the dad. Chase is the walleye cheater. He's one pair of the walleye cheaters. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So this is him. This is all him making the news again. The walleye cheaters as a team, they don't even get back into the news until later in March here. I mean, I know it's not March right now, but you know what I mean? Might as well be short ass February. Yeah. So that will be coming up here in about a month or so, where the two of them will face court in Ohio. So this isn't even related to that. It's just so happens to be this is building up behind this guy.
Oh, he's such a piece of work. I just picture like him and his wife, his ex. He's, why you want to leave? Huh? Why you want to leave? Just like, your money's not real. Your fishing ain't real. We're gone. Just like, oh, we'll see how real it is when I hack all your accounts and ride your ass in the car. Just like, none of this makes any sense, you idiot. Just like, no, you're right. You're right. I'll give the money to our other kid. No, don't do that either. What are you doing? I don't know why I'm doing that accent.
Well, they're from Pennsylvania, so I mean, you know.
Oh, maybe
it's possible.
Yeah. Stupid. Why did you leave me? Because you don't have enough real money to buy some water ice.
Yes. Okay, let's jump into topic 3 here, Tim. The topic that almost turned into a full topic, but I was like, I don't think I can do a full topic on it. And this was actually the spark of this, like, hey, let's do a series of news stories. Like, let's just do 5 news stories. Basically, we'll bang one out here and we'll do it. And it's invasive northern pike, because we've talked about this in one of our news stories before.
Yes.
It was Utah. Is that right? Does that sound right?
I think so. That sounds about right.
Yeah, I think it was in Utah. So I did some more research, and yeah, dude, pike are like really invasive. And I don't.
That's crazy.
I know, me. Right? Like to us.
Like, I know it was crazy last time we talked about it, but it's still like, I just didn't think they were invasive at all.
Right.
That, like, I thought that was like just super supernatural. But I get it, because I've seen it on my lakes on how like ferocious the little ones are. Yes. They eat a lot. So if you put them into a lake that they're not supposed to be, I could see how it would make a problem.
Yeah. That's the other reason why I wanted to bring it up as again, a topic that almost became a topic, is because to us it's so normal. Pike are just everywhere in Minnesota. Like, and you've talked about them all the time on how ferocious they are and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, okay. But they're so aggressive, and it's exactly what you're saying. Your experience of how they're not invasive where you catch them, but you see the behavior and you go, yeah, I bet you if they got somewhere.
Yep.
And that's totally what they do. Like, every single article that I read, every place that I went to read about this, it was aggressive eaters. You know, like whatever word you want to use for aggressive, like there were 5 different adjectives to like explain how aggressive they are.
Yeah. Well, because I think like I think they grow fast when they're little.
Oh,
So they almost have no choice.
gotcha.
Like, I think they're just always hungry, you know? It's like a teenager going through puberty. He's just like, oh, raiding the cupboards, eating everything because I'm growing. That's what it feels like, man, because I don't, like the big ones, I know that they're out there, and I've caught some bigger ones before, but it's kind of few and far between on a lot of lakes. But there have been certain days where I go out there and I catch a small one literally every single cast.
Yeah.
To the point where it's fun for like the first 10 fish. And then after a while, you're just like, what is happening? Can I catch like maybe a different sized fish, like the same fish, just bigger? Can I catch a bass? Can I catch anything else? And it's just like, we need to find a different spot. I'm so sick of catching northerns every single cast.
Right. Yeah. So there you go. That's exactly it. Like
yeah.
How crazy is that? Every cast. And you have to move because there's just too many there. I mean, that's like a perfect explanation of an invasive species.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And if you think about how you're making a cast every single time, like obviously I shouldn't say obviously, but I would have to think that they're not chasing down every fish that they see like they are with the lure, because the lure swims a little bit erratically. It's a little bit different. And that's what triggers them into biting, because they're like, something's wrong with that fish. Here's my easy meal. It's like almost going in a straight line, or it's being erratic. Like, that's my meal. It's not going to fight me back if I bite it. I don't know what their thought process is, but they chase it down and they smash it. But you got to think that even if it's close to that aggressive for any other fish, that there's just like small school of sunfish swimming around and they're just like bam, 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 picking off every little fish they see.
Yeah.
Dude, that could be a problem, especially if you put it into a lake that already has other predators like that.
Yeah.
If you put it into a lake that's already, the numbers are a little bit wonky because of the other predators eating the smaller fish and the food source isn't great, and now you have another fish, like, they start battling for the same food source that's not real plentiful. Everybody starts getting smaller. I've seen it on some lakes where the fish, I almost think it's because of this situation now, given this idea of the pike being evasive, I've seen people catch bass on certain lakes where on our lakes it'd be a 6-pounder, and on their lake it's just barely 4, because they're skinny. Like, it grew big, and then I think it's been put on a hefty diet because it could have been something
because
like
there's
this,
just other predators there, like taking over.
And all of a sudden the invasive species comes in and they start eating all the food source, and now it's hard for them to find anything to eat.
Right. Yeah.
So that fish has grown because it has been eating well. If it wouldn't eat a lot, I would assume it just kind of stay smaller.
Sure.
But it got to a certain size because it was able to eat. And then the invasive species comes in and starts taking the food source away. And now that fish is just doing what it can to survive. And now it's just, looking like a crackhead version of a bass. Just like, oh, he, if he could put on some muscle, this dude could hoop. But he's scrawny.
He's skinny. Yeah. I mean, everything you're saying it's really hitting. It's really hitting because they, in these articles, when you read about the like invasiveness of them, they just kind of are very, very specific about location. And so like in Washington, they're classified as prohibited, which I thought was really crazy. So I just wanted to throw that in there. Prohibited. Different word. Right? So
I mean, what does that even mean?
It means like it just means like it's prohibited to have that fish around in so like I'm making an assumption here, but prohibited to me means like possessing that fish in any way inside the state of Washington is illegal.
Well, that seems like the opposite of what you would want, wouldn't it?
No.
That's what I'm confused about. Like, if you're trying to clear out the invasive species, you wouldn't want to just not touch them. You would want to keep your...
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Right. I think what I meant is like, I didn't mean it as like taking them out of the lake or trying to catch them or whatever. I meant like, I meant if, yeah, I didn't say that right. You're right. But I get what you're thinking. And I was going with it a different direction, as in like transporting them or anything like that. Because when we read that Utah one, it was basically like, kind of like carp are around here, right? Like if you catch a carp, you're just supposed to take it out and get it out of there. Like you're supposed to get it away from the water and execute it. Is basically what it is. And
yes, but use it still. That's an important part. They don't want you to just murder the fish, but they'd like you to like use it as compost or whatever. They do want you to get rid of it, but not to just throw it in the rocks like half of the people do.
Yeah. Good point. And so that's the way I took it, as in like you can't be out there specifically trying to help out the species. Like it's prohibited to be holding on to them. It's prohibited to be transporting them. And when I say transporting them, I really do mean alive. I'm sure if the game warden out there in Washington saw you with a dead one, he'd be like, "Good, where are you going with it?"
Right. Yeah, I could see them too being like prohibited in the sense of just having it even in, because there's like a possession limit where I know that's like filleting it or whatever, but you can put it in their live well.
Oh,
your live well, and
okay.
I could see them just being like, "No, you don't take these alive. This is a prohibited fish."
Yeah. Okay.
If you catch one, you stab it in the face.
Yeah. you literally stab it in the brain and make sure it's not alive anymore. Yeah. Right.
It needs to die.
Yeah.
This is not just comes. I know it's animals. I just started thinking about it like people and how fucked up that would be to just be like, your kind are not welcome here, and let it be known to anybody else on this lake, if you see one of these people here, you murder them. This is just plain and simple
murder.
They're allowed to be in the state that they came from, but here, dead.
That's it. And so to go back to the habitat thing, which before we got on the prohibited thing is where I was trying to go, because I let us get sidetracked because I had to bring it up. It was just written right there. So the ones from Washington came from Montana, which they're also illegal in Montana. So anytime there's pike in Montana, illegal there too. But that's because they're in the mountains. So like they'll get in the mountains, they'll get in the mountain streams. Like all of that comes out of the Rockies and runs down into Washington. And like, so that's how they got there.
Yeah.
Just another example of like the voraciousness of a pike, right? Comes out of the mountains and swims its ass all the way over to a different state to keep eating vigorously, probably.
Right.
And the other thing about, again, mostly these are about locations. South Central AK, Alaska. South Central Alaska, pike are also invasive there. And California, Northern California, to be specific, towards the Nevada side.
Okay.
They're in the Sierra area. Again, coming out of the mountains, the Sierras. So like, I don't know what or how or why people are getting pike into these mountain streams and stuff like that, but they are. And that's just weird to me. But Alaska has pike. Alaska has a ton of pike. I bet you if you look up Alaska pike fishing, it's going to be similar to Minnesota. It's going to be a lot. Like it is from Alaska all the way down to Minnesota is totally normal. All that sort of Canadian range. Totally normal. Yeah. Specifically South Central Alaska, there has been spread to lakes there that they're not supposed to be in. So they're considered invasive there. And then you think about how big Alaska is and I go, oh yeah, okay. I guess I can see how that happens. Like the distance they're covering from Montana to Washington is probably smaller than the distance from where they're native to Alaska and where they're invasive.
Right. Yeah. And I literally just like pulled it up and looked a little bit. And what you were talking about with like Alaska and stuff and moving it, like it seemed just from glancing real quick, that totally seems like what the prohibited is. Like, you can't have a live fish with you. You can't put it in a
Nice.
bucket. You can't bring
Nice.
it home.
Nice.
Like, basically, it needs to be murdered.
Right.
You know,
Okay.
it's there because a lot of people will put like live fish in a bucket
Oh,
and they'll hold it that way until you get to, you know, the cleaning
right.
table, and then you kill it,
Yeah.
you know? So you, because with the fish alive, the meat doesn't
Right.
spoil because it's an
Right.
animal until it's dead. Then it becomes meat, and the meat can spoil without having
Good
it
point. Good point.
refrigerated. So people are, you know, keeping it live in buckets or in live wells and stuff, and they're just like, no, you don't
You
keep
can't
them
do that. So
alive at
all
all.
that stuff we were like saying and speculating, it's like, no, that's right. That we were right.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I didn't read in it too much, so like keeping it in the live well on your lake might be okay, but like it doesn't
Right.
leave the lake
Yeah.
alive.
Like if you go to the launch, like you got to take it out right there as you're driving away. Like you can't
Yep.
ride in a bucket home.
Yeah. Yeah, because apparently people are like illegally stocking these fish.
Yeah. Seems.
Which is, I don't understand why anybody's doing that stuff. Why you would move fish from one lake to another to risk what?
Yeah. Well,
to be like, I could get in trouble for this, but there's going to be a pike in this lake now. Like, okay, cool.
right. Yeah. That's what I was going to like.
Why don't you go hang out with the guy that has fake money? I don't know what you guys are doing.
Yeah. And I mean, pike are fine. They're fun. But like, I guess maybe we're in a little bit of a sort of privileged position that we have pike all around us all the time and we can just catch them whenever.
Yeah.
But it just seems like I don't know, just find a different fish. Like pike aren't that fun.
Yeah. Or go to where the pike are. Like, just catch the fish you have.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
like obviously the fish down south wouldn't survive in a lot of our lakes and stuff.
Right. Right.
But even if they would, I wouldn't be like, oh, I want peacock bass in my lake, so I'm going to go get some and bring them up
Right.
here.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's a special thing that you fish for those fish when you're where those fish
I
live.
agree.
You don't try to bring those fish back
Right.
with you. What are you guys doing?
Right.
I don't know. It just seems real
Yeah.
weird to me.
No, I'm with you there. I don't have the mindset of that. Like, I just don't understand why you'd bring it with, like, try to replace it. Yeah. Nope. I'm with you, dude. Whoa, quick before we leave, I was gonna move on to the next topic, but one thing I wanted to tell a story about the California invasive, because apparently they've taken them out. Like California says they're not in California anymore, which is like,
really?
That's a big deal, right?
That's impressive.
Yeah. Especially with everything you said at the top of this topic of like how voracious they are, how fast growing, you know, like all that stuff that you're pretty damn sure of. And that's why I wanted to bring this up. Okay. So in 88, they found them. In 91, I'm trying to read and then talk at the same time. And so 88, they found them. And then there's 91 and 92. And they kind of thought that they had taken care of it. And they actually did in the Sierra. That's what I'm getting to there. So the Sierra area, they had taken care of them. But there's this Lake Davis that is still, I assume, fed by the Sierra Valley because it's in that northern part, right? And so they found them in Lake Davis in 94. So you got it. This is the time gap, right? Found them in 88, 91, 92. They thought they got them out of the Sierra Valley. And then probably downstream, I should have looked into I looked where Lake Davis was. I just don't understand Sierra Valley. But trust me, this is in the Sierra area. So then you got 91, 92, and they're like, okay, we've cleaned up the Sierra Valley. Now you got 94, and they found them in Lake Davis. So 2 years after they figured they cleaned them out, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then they tried in 97, and they're like, all good, baby. And then they found them again in 99.
Yeah, okay. Oh, damn. See, I wonder, like, if they actually do clear them out, and then whatever these idiots are doing, actually bringing them back.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I do kind of question that. Or like, they think there should be a point where you clear out enough of them that they're not able to find each other when spawning, right? And that's really the goal.
You would think.
And then...
Yeah, because they need to reproduce, that one fish doesn't just multiply on its own. They need a male and a female need to find each other, which that only takes one chance encounter to get a decent number of new ones to
it's true.
be
True.
born, and then if you don't catch that 1 year, that next year things could get out of hand quick. But
Right.
that's still pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And I was thinking too, like after I said like who's doing this, I did think that there probably are like some rednecks that are just because the DNR or whatever you call it in your state is like a governing
Of
body
authority.
where they're just like, yeah, they're the ones deciding what fish to stock, what not.
Right.
And then there's probably just rednecks that are just going to be like, you're going to tell me that my lake's going to be a walleye lake? You're going to stock the walleye? You're going to put and I can't have my pike? I want pike. I'm going to make my own decision. You're not going to tell me what to do. You're not going to trespass on my property. You're not going to tell me I can have pike or walleye or whatever in my lakes. If I want to walk around naked with the windows open, I'm going to do that. You know, so that guy, I could totally see that guy that's just like, I do what I want, where I want. This is America.
Right.
You know,
and just totally like blowing out of proportion that like this isn't. And yeah, I mean, sometimes walleyes aren't native to that lake and it ends up being just fine. Just like, peacock bass in Florida works out. They're not native, but it worked out. But pike,
right.
like a pike, I just where outside of the north, like are people leaving Minnesota to go to Northern California and they're just like, man, I really miss, man, fucking pike fishing.
Right.
It's a
yeah.
fucking
Dude,
weird thought
look at some of do yourself some research on what it was like back in the day before regulations, and then look at what it's like over in Russia where they're not doing it. The pikes are all massive, and it's like
they're just dominating.
The majority, they're so big. So every single one of them is 40 inches.
Oh my God.
They used to have that back in the day where they'd go out fishing and you'd see this black and white photo where they'd have a stringer of like 20 massive pike.
Yeah,
and you're like, that's like a trophy fish.
Every single one.
Nowadays, because they've, got it under control. But back then, they're just like, yep, this lake is filled with them.
So we just take them and we eat them.
And we have no electronics. We have 3 bench seats with a 9-horse motor. And we are limiting out on what you guys would call a trophy these days. Like things can get out of control with pike if you don't regulate
Yes,
them.
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, and so it was California said that they're done in 2007. They're like, we got this. So it's been a few years now. Yeah, I believe them.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, I mean, even if you're getting it down to where there's only like 1 or 2 that you find every once in a while, like as long as it's not every cast situation like I'm dealing with on some of these lakes, I think you're okay, because when you get big numbers, that's when you really got a problem. But if one fish is out there eating his fair share and you get a big fish and he's not mating or she's not mating, then whatever.
Right, exactly.
And honestly, if there's just one out there and they're not putting any more in there and the pike wants to like create a hybrid with something else, like even if it's invasive, I'd still be, that's pretty neat. Like, is that like a crappie pike hybrid? That's pretty cool. Is that a crappie with teeth? What's that? That's nuts. I'd be cool. I'd be excited to see something weird come out of it. And like, if it caused a lot of problems, that would suck. But for the most part, to have a toothy crappie that's extremely aggressive, I'd travel to that.
I'd go there.
I'd go fish for that.
Now you're talking about a destination location, not pike.
Yeah, right.
Speaking of big toothy critters, new GAR regulations in Minnesota.
Yes, in Minnesota.
This is so weird to me.
Yeah, dude, to me too. That's why I wanted to talk about it, because first off, like just the new regulations at all is coming out, so be aware of that. It's time for the new regulations to come out, and a lot of the stuff takes effect on March 1st. Like that's how it works. When it hits, that's essentially the new season. Like March is when you have to start getting your wheelhouses off the lake. You can't go and catch I think it's the end of walleye season too, isn't it? Yeah,
because it
yeah,
starts.
March
Well,
1st
yeah,
marks the
yeah.
end.
We kind of talked about that in the last pod. How it's like
Right,
took
that's
like
right,
a
that's
month
right. We
off.
did, yeah, because
It's like
it sets, yeah, it shuts it down now, and then it starts up
yeah,
like the second week of May.
right.
So you got like a month and a half
Yep,
or 2.5 months that you can't fish for them
something like that.
or
Yep.
whatever.
There's
But
still a
yeah,
little bit,
real
I think.
quick.
Anyways, yeah. Let's not get into that because we're talking about the new stuff. Yeah,
So
I'm letting us
yeah,
decide. You do.
so I'll tell you about the gar real quick before or after this. But I say because they were listing the regulations on the site that I
Yeah.
found, they said like beware of anglers because there's new and modified regulations will also be in effect for a variety of other waters. Anglers are advised to check their regulation books for regulation details for these waters listed here alphabetically by county. And it says Big Sandy Lake and connected waters in Aiken County, a portion of the upper Turtle River chain of lakes in Beltrami County, Three Islands and Turtle River lakes in Beltrami County, Fox Lake, Beltrami County, Caribou Lake, Itasca County, Brown Lake, Itasca County, Ottertail Lake, Ottertail County, West Battle Lake, Ottertail County, and Cloquet and Otter Rivers of Island Reservoir, St. Louis County. All those are like have their own specifics. So if you heard your lake called, go check out your book because you got some special regulations that are specific to just you.
Yep.
If you didn't catch what I was saying, rewind it a little bit. And if it's too hard to understand what I was talking about there, just go get yourself a book and
start
check.
reading.
They have it listed.
But we
Yeah,
do that so
fine.
much on the podcast. I hope anybody that's listening, I mean, if you're new, thank you. Awesome. Share with a friend. Let us know how you found us. But we say that so much on the pod, dude, where we're just like, we're going to say the broad stroke, but check your local regs. It can be different per water. You really got to know. Like,
exactly.
Ignorance is not an option. Like, you still get fucking fined.
Yep. And that's another reason that I was even bringing this up because we've said it so many times. Like, there's a good example of there's what, like 7, 8, 10, I don't know. I wasn't counting. But there's a number of lakes that actually have like, hey, we just changed the regulations on just your lake. Go to the book and see what they are. So to see that as an example of like, for sure, there are different regulations and they don't stay the same all the time. All the time that stuff changed. But getting into the gar, the crazy part. Okay, so the gar because you can like bow hunt for them or whatever.
Oh yeah, of course.
And they've changed the possession limit to 10 because before this it was unlimited.
That blows my fucking mind, dude.
That blows my mind too because I was just like, I don't even know anybody that's going for
I've
these.
literally never talked to one single person ever in my life that has said anything about a gar other than me and you. And the only reason why I think me and you have ever talked about the gar is because one, podcast, we've done it. Like we kind of looked into it a few different times, but two is the aquarium at the Mall of America. The first time you see one of those sons of bitches in that aquarium, you're like, what the fuck is that?
I know. That's the same thing with the state fair. The state fair has that big pool of like all the different fish that we have. And you see the gar, and I feel like everybody that's there is like, we have these?
Uh-huh.
These are here?
We're talking about two highly populated, like places with lots of people and not just
lots of people.
Not just like casual people are like people go to the DNR building because they're outdoors people. So like to see that and hear that from the DNR building at the state fair makes you go, what the hell?
Yeah. You're there with a lot of other fishermen that are all looking at it being like, oh yeah, look at that fish. That's a good one there. And then other people that are just like, the only reason that they know we have gar is because they've seen this and they know that it's a thing. They look at the regulation books. They've seen this DNR thing. And everybody's just like, yeah, we have gar. Where? I don't know, but we have it. I'm
what you do with them? Have no idea.
Yeah.
I know nothing about them.
But that's the crazy thing to me where the DNR is just like, whoa, pump the brakes a little, guys. You can't take as many as you want anymore. You can only have 10 per person. I'm still like, 10 per person seems like a shit ton.
Yeah.
And who's taking any?
Right.
And like, it's just, it was such a crazy number to me. That's why I even put it in the notes. I'm just like, oh, they changed it to 10, this and that. And then like the last bullet point, I said, also, what the fuck?
That's the last note. Because that's seriously what it is.
What's
like,
going
what
on
the
here?
fuck? I have no idea why it was unlimited before and now 10. It's just like, yeah, dude, just mind
Yeah.
blown. I don't really have any more words, but like, if who's hunting them that much in Minnesota?
I don't know.
That's
Like the
crazy.
bowfishers must be out there, but it's like to even know that there's like that kind of number
Right.
somewhere is
Right.
crazy to me. To even know that catching more than 10
Is an
is a
option in a
possibility
day.
is
Right.
crazy.
So many questions. No answers, just
I
by the
want to,
way.
if anybody, yeah, exactly. If anybody else is out there listening to this that has garfished or knows people that are doing it and stuff, like let us know,
Yeah.
like what's going on. Are they out there? Like, do you just go down like out there with your spotlight into a swampy area
Right.
and it's just crawling
Right.
with them? Or
Do they
you know,
school up?
is that,
Like,
do they make noise like bullfrogs? And that's what I've been hearing instead of bullfrogs. Like have I have I been wrong this whole time? I'm so lost. I have no idea what these
I
fish
know.
are, except for I mean I know what they
Right.
are. I've
Right.
seen the pictures. I've seen them at the DNR place. Like you said, I've seen them at the Mall of America. Like we've seen these
Yep.
fish. I've never encountered one
The
in
wild ever.
Minnesota in the wild
Yep.
before, but I'm also like not in these like swampy
But they're
areas and
river
I'm
fish
not
though too.
in,
So,
that's what I was gonna say, and I'm not in a lot of rivers either. I
but you
don't
don't not fish the river.
I don't not fish a river. I fish like populated areas of rivers by like dams and bridges and stuff, but I'm not going on the river. I've never fished in the river off of a boat,
Sure.
like on the like
Okay.
river. I've fished in widenings of the
Mhm.
river that technically become
Right.
lakes, but I've never fished
Right.
gar. So just to see that was like the number one thing, because there that was like a side note of all those other lakes of like, hey, other stuff has changed, but
Right.
also big news, gar
Gar
limits have
limits have
changed. And
changed.
like, that's big news? What?
What the fuck? So crazy. Yes, seriously. Hit us up if you're out there doing.
Yeah.
Remember, Real AFTV, Real Like Fish and Real. We're just, if you look us up on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and YouTube, we're there. Just
Yep.
REELAFTV. Find us and let us know, because this shit blows my fucking mind and I have nothing else.
Ditto. No, right. Totally confused. And I would love to hear back from people because
Right.
so I
Right,
got
exactly. So let's hit our fifth topic then, Tim. Let's wrap up on a little fun thing you sent me on
yeah.
Instagram. I was out of town, and that's part of why we're doing this topic and this feed and everything like that, the way that we are. But all of a sudden, I looked down at my phone and I'm like, okay, yeah, I gotta. What the fuck is that thing? And you sent me, you DM'd me basically. I don't know what the kids call them on Instagram,
Oh yeah.
but you DM'd me a Tackle Warehouse post. And
Yes.
it was the weirdest thing. So before we actually say what it is, I want to explain my story a little bit, because that's what happened. But here's what's going through my head. So whoa, that looks familiarly, well, not, that looks familiar, but there's something off.
Yeah. Right.
And it's a lure, and that's all I know I'm looking at. You want to explain it a little more? Because I don't have the words,
Yeah.
because that's what happened to me. I just was confused and felt like I was looking at something familiar, but I wasn't.
Yeah. Did you happen to look, what I sent you, did that have the name of it on there?
Yeah. So it's a ABT Lures is the brand, which I tried to look them up, and
Okay.
I think they're totally custom, or mostly
Okay.
custom. And it was called the Vibe Spin.
The Vibe Spin.
Yeah.
Okay. So what it is
I don't know what that
so
second word is.
there's two different spinner baits. You know, like so they refer to, if anybody's familiar with all the different like what you call a normal spinner bait is technically called a safety pin spinner
Okay.
bait. like the safety pin style, because it has that metal bar that comes up to like a loop. Sometimes it's open and then it goes up to the blades, because there's the other ones that are the inline spinners, and the safety pin is that kind of a V shape.
Okay.
And the bottom is like that skirted hook, and then the top has the blades. So the very top part has a blade coming off of it, and that's, there's a number of different kind of blades that you could put on there. And then if you go down a little bit, there's another blade, but instead of that, this has like the chatterbait blade in front of it. So that's going to vibrate like crazy, because that blade just goes back and forth like this, like, blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't know how to explain that better to anybody.
No, because we talk with sounds a lot. It just makes sense.
Yeah. So that front blade, I'll say it like this: that front blade has where the line tie is like in the middle of the blade, and that blade goes back and forth sideways through the water. Yep. So just kind of going back and forth off of that axis. Bop, 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 bop. And then the top blade is actually spinning and creating vibration while it spins. So to have those two different vibration patterns together is like, that's got to be crazy. So that one's nuts to me. So crazy. Where it's like, it's got to be so much vibration. And that one, I think to me, it just screams like very aggressive. Yeah. So like if you're in like really dingy water and you're trying to make a lot of ruckus, or you have like some smallmouth or whatever that are kind of more aggressive, and you're almost just trying to like piss something off, like really let it know like something is here. Yeah. Like that blade seems like it would really work to me, where, you're getting all that attention and stuff, but it might be a little bit much in the clear water, because even the chatterbaits, I don't have real good luck with the chatterbait in clear water. I feel like it's almost a little bit too aggressive. Sure. I have caught fish before, but if I'm trying to use something like a more subtle, like spinning blade, seems to do the trick better for me. Same with like the inline blade though. There's some weird stuff there where an inline blade catches like muskies and pike well, but the bass don't seem to be interested in that on a clear water lake. But when I go to where there's current, that's my go-to on a river.
Oh, interesting.
But I don't use that inline spinner for bass on a lake at all. So it's weird. Like, I'm curious to see what that vibration pattern, the two together, like what this
hybrid lure would do then, based on what you just said.
Yeah, based on my experience, like, what is this vibration pattern going to do? Is clear water, going to be surprisingly effective in? Yeah. I feel like it's going to excel in the dingy water situations, but maybe clear water, it works as well. So I'm super excited to get a chance to try it out.
It's cool.
And then, super cool. And then the other thing that I threw in the dock, and I believe I might have even talked about it on the iCast episode that we did last year. And so that iCast episode, we were talking about the Z-Man. Oh, I put it in
the Z-Man Hellraiser?
Because I forgot. The Hellraiser, that's what it was. Yes. Yeah. And the Hellraiser, this one popped up too because I've seen it used now a couple of times. Nice. So once the water opens up, I'm really excited to use both of these because I didn't know what the hell it was. Dude, it's such a weird looking lure. I'm like, I don't even know how you use this. I'm excited to see how this goes down. But basically, it's like a pencil bait or like a stick bait. Okay. Like it's a top water bait that floats. And the body is like a long stick, and then it has a couple of treble hooks underneath it. And then it might only be one treble hook on the front, but there's a possibility that there's two on the body. I can't remember. That also might be.
You're just going off memory. So like, keep going.
Just going off of memory. But this also might be dictated by size. Oh, yeah. Some jerk baits have 3 hooks and some only have 2 because it depends on how long they are. So the body is a stick that you tie the line onto the nose. But on the back of it, it has a blade like how a chatterbait has a blade. Yeah. So on the very back, it has a blade. But on the bottom of the blade, there's a weight. And that weighted part also has an eyelet where there's a treble hook coming off of that.
Yeah.
So this is like a reverse chatterbait, but it's also on the top of the water. So when you're reeling it,
Dude.
the back of it's just chattering like crazy, vibrating, and the front of it's just kind of like wiggling, almost like if you've ever seen like a baby duck scramble, like something spooks it in the water
and it really
goes
kicks
real
into
fast.
high gear.
That's what it reminds me of when I see it being fished on the top water. It's just kind of vibrating on the top of the water as it's scurrying away. It looks like something running from something.
Right.
And when I saw that, I'm just like, oh shit. Like that, because I had no idea how this would work. And then I saw it and it looked like a baby duck. And I was like, that's perfect. That's what I see, scrambling and trying to run away from stuff on the surface of the water.
That's a great way to put it.
So regardless of what it is, like a fish runs like that. If it's injured on the top of the water, which you don't see a lot, but I'm guessing it's probably because something running like that on the surface of the water gets hammered up pretty quick. So I'm excited to try that one out too. So that's why I thought of that when I saw this other blade bait. I'm like, that's crazy. I want to try that this year. And then I was like, oh yeah, that Hellraiser thing. Dude, I got to find some of those and try those out. So I'm curious to see what the price point is on that spinnerbait too. Did you happen to see what that was?
I didn't. I mean, I should say that I didn't see it in the dock, but they had them on sale.
Those Hellraisers.
So this again, the Tackle Warehouse post. The Tackle Warehouse post. They were $12 only for one.
$12.
So that was on sale. Kinda, they were having like a fire sale on them. Like I think probably a new release sale. It didn't say that, but it seems new enough. So $12.
Some of these lures are getting expensive, man, but it's cool still. They're cool, but that like they're adding so many extra features and so many metal pieces and so many moving parts that they're starting to get expensive. Now, not knocking them. I still want to try it for sure. But a regular spinnerbait, like a high end, like a middle ground spinnerbait, is like $8.
And that's why when I said only 12, I meant like to me, this is a new technology. Like it took a lot of R&D probably to get to this. And I'm thinking like, this is probably Gen 1. You are going to have to pay that little bit of extra.
True.
Like that's why I put it in the like only 12 category now, because what is it competing against? Nothing.
Exactly.
Right? Like
that's
it's one of a kind.
That's a very good point.
So
Yep. And Z-Man on the same grounds too, where they're always using like quality components and stuff too. You're not getting cheap. That's always a big thing too. You can make this same lure cheaper, I'm sure. But when you start using quality hooks and quality swivels and all this other stuff, it does add up, because there's Z-Man. I mean, the Z-Man jackhammer chatterbait, you can get the original chatterbait for, I want to say they're like $6 or $7. The jackhammer retails for almost 20. Shit. So it's so it's like you start adding like better components, better hooks, better metal, like it jumps up there. So yep.
Kick ass, dude. Well, that was
some stuff to be excited for the summer season coming up, since we're starting to wrap up the ice.
Yeah, real soon.
And who knows how fast that's going to go. It's
the weather keeps turning all over the place up here. So who knows when this thing's going to open up.
Warm and raining, and it's just like, man, we're going to have the earliest ice out in years, and then it just goes, psych, another snowstorm.
Another snowstorm with a freezing cold back end on it. You're like, okay.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, all right. So it's going to be here for a while, I guess. I don't know. Yep.
Yeah. Well, hell yeah, man. Let's wrap it up. Please, everybody, like and subscribe. YouTube has been, gaining a little bit more traction, and I appreciate that. So, share with a friend and do the likes and subscribe and all that stuff. Remember, Spotify, iTunes, you can do reviews on there somehow. I say somehow because I don't know how to do it on Spotify. I don't use the app, but I heard that's where you can do it on the app. But we're also over on Amazon products now. So if you get your stuff over there, look up podcasts, man. Get into podcasting over on your Amazon stuff. iHeartRadio, they're all over the place. We're on there. Social media, Instagram and Twitter, Facebook. Hit us up, Real AF TV. Just do a search for us, Real AF TV, real like fish and reel. Find us over there. Hit us up. we do talk back. Our DM's open, all that fun stuff, especially if you know anything about Gar.
Yeah. Right. I know you are, but what am I? We talk about and we also have a Patreon.
Thank you, Tim. That's right. Patreon.com/RealAFTV. Or you can just go to the website, realaf.tv, and you can find all of this stuff right there at the top of the page, including our list of 2023 goals. Have to look at that soon here as we're talking about ice out and see if we missed anything yet. I think I did. I think I missed something. I have to go check in on it.